Alrighty, so today I want to talk about the tools and the skills that I use and practice to maintain my sobriety. Because if you've experienced some kind of deep emotional trauma, whatever your trauma may be, it's going to take almost a lifetime of unpacking all that and letting go of all those experiences and emotions and everything that you've been holding inside for so long. So I've been at this for 10 years now, and it's me developing my own sense of self-awareness and choosing to face what I've been running from for so long, and choosing to feel everything. That's a big part of this. Is you have to feel all of this, whether it's good or bad, and it doesn't happen all at once. Certain things throughout the day, throughout the weeks, the months, the years, trigger and remind me of certain events that happen, and it brings things up. And so you have to be prepared for that, because if you're not prepared and you're not in the right mindset and you don't have the right tools and the right practice, those things will completely derail you. So the goal is we want to build and move forward and have a happy, positive, productive life. So I want to share this stuff with you. But before I do that, I want to talk about something that I haven't really acknowledged in regards to this whole alcoholism, drinking, and becoming sober. And it's a comment that one of the viewers left, and I appreciate you for leaving that comment. I think your name is John or Jorn or something. But anyway, thank you for commenting, and I always appreciate your insight. But so he mentioned the 12 steps, and how, and so the 12 steps is part of the program Alcoholics Anonymous, or AA. You might be more familiar with it. And he said that he joined AA, and it helped him. It got him sober, and it continues to provide the support that he needs, and it's working for him. So the thing about Alcoholics Anonymous is it's amazing, and it helps millions and millions of people, and it has helped many people for many years. And when I was getting into all this and wanted to get sober, I, for some reason, felt an aversion to a group. I felt like I wouldn't fit in, I wouldn't belong. I think it was my own insecurities. So I lone wolfed this thing and figured this out on my own. But there are interesting similarities to the way I approach this and the tools and what I use to heal and to move on from my alcoholism, my emotional trauma, all this stuff. So I want to tell you a story about the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I think his name is Bill Wilson, and I've been reading his biography. But Alcoholics Anonymous intrigued me because it's something that another person thought up and has affected millions and millions of people's lives, has changed people's lives for the better. And I'm trying to figure out how to do that myself. How do I change millions of people's lives? This guy, Bill Wilson, did it. And what's interesting, so he struggled with alcoholism for many years of his life. And he tried everything to figure out how to stop drinking, and he just could not do it. And so he was at a point in his life, he was like middle-aged, and he's in this hospital. And there were hospitals that people could check themselves into, and there was different kinds of therapy and treatment that were designed to like break alcohol addiction, and it was kind of gnarly. And I think this was in like the 40s or the 50s when Alcoholics Anonymous came to fruition. But anyway, the way this guy figured out Alcoholics Anonymous and the program is he's in this hospital in his room, and it's at night, and he's like losing his mind, and he has this vision, and he describes it as a vision from God. But he has this vision, and what he envisioned is the 12 steps. So he like sees the 12 steps and envisions these 12 steps of this pathway to achieve sobriety. And he has the vision, he then shares it with his friends and some doctors, whatever. Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 steps is alive and born, and now it's being implemented. So what's interesting about that, and it's something that I've talked about, is that we as humans have this ability and these tools within us to imagine what life could be like, how to help people, how to change the world. And that's exactly what this guy did. He used his imagination and he had a vision, and he brought this through, and he brought something that had never been done before, ever, into the world, and it's affected millions of people. And he did it through having a vision. So it really speaks to the power of an individual, in an emotive state. See, he was at a very low point. He was extremely emotional. And I've talked about this a lot, is we underestimate the powers of emotion. And I feel like there's a reason why society tells us to ignore emotion, and why they give us drugs and distractions and everything to avoid emotion. Because if we can truly understand our emotion and how to use it to our advantage, we can change the world. And that's exactly what this guy did by having this vision. So, other interesting parts about AA and the 12 steps. So it's a step-by-step process, and you go through this process, and there's an outcome, a desired outcome, to have a better life and be sober and free of alcohol. What's interesting about that is that's a system. So a system is things working together to achieve a desired outcome. What's interesting about systems is that they work really well in Western society. If you've grown up in Western society, everything is based on linear thought. That is systems thinking. Our whole world is run on systems. Our minds and how we've been taught to learn and to think is all based upon systems thinking. It's like the straightest or the quickest way to get from point A to point B is in a straight line. That's a very linear thought process. And I feel in order for us to be able to change and be able to adapt to new ideas and change our mindset and affect ourselves, we have to take a systems approach. That's exactly what Alcoholics Anonymous is. It's a 12-step system, and you go through each step, and it's designed in a way where it changes your mindset as you're working through these steps to achieve this desired outcome. And that's exactly my approach to what I do. Like in my last video yesterday, I described a system to how to achieve self-awareness. And so we can take the example of the 12 steps, and you can analyze it deeper to see, because this is a proven system. This has helped millions of people, and it continues to do so every day. So you can take a proven system like that and analyze it, and then begin to understand what makes it work. And I haven't really, and I'm not familiar with every step in the AA 12-step program, but I am familiar with systems, and I have studied systems, and once you become aware of systems and how they work, you begin to see them everywhere. Our entire Western society is based on systems thinking, systems dynamics, all these systems. So in order for us to accept change, understand it, take it in, and then actually act upon it, we need a systems approach. So that's exactly my method, and it's a successful method, and it's proven. So like yesterday's video, that was an example of a simple system that changes your thinking and your mindset, and ultimately drives you to take action, to like actually move and motivate and do something. And that is develop self-awareness. So anyway, check out AA, the 12 steps, and that might be right for you. But it's amazing to think that someone had a vision and they brought that in, had never been done before, and it's changed the world. So it's completely possible, and any one of us can do that. And it just takes acting from an emotional state of mind, state of being, and we can change the world. So keep that in mind, because I know one of us is going to figure this out. Yeah, I know it. Anyway, okay. So what do we do to maintain our sobriety and deal with all of the emotions that keep bubbling up for us? There's so many triggers throughout our day, our weeks, our months, the years that trigger us and that cause us to feel a certain way. What are the ways to deal with that? The biggest one, number one, it's understanding the concept of coping. Now, I've talked about this a lot, but I will continue to do this because I feel it's paramount. It's like the number one skill to incorporate into your life and make it a practice. Because the body, the mind, the psyche copes no matter what, whether you are aware of it or not. If you're anything like me, you are coping in negative ways by essentially running from your problem, distracting yourself from it, choosing not to look at it. That is a form of coping. That's coping in the form of distraction. The whole thing with coping is it's how you're going to reach center, like your homeostasis. You know what I mean? So homeostasis is just you in a calm place, able to function. And your body's always trying to reach homeostasis. And if you have a big monkey on your back that's keeping you from not being in homeostasis, using distractions helps your mind and your psyche center back into homeostasis. And your state of being is going to be in a compromised state. And because you can't function with this big monkey on your back, and you either deal with it or you ignore it. And so unhealthy coping is ignoring it, and we have to use distractions in order to do that, and we have to use them a lot. I drank constantly, I smoked weed constantly, and luckily when I was doing all this, like the dopamine addiction and like the cell phone stuff wasn't so big when I was doing this. It's rampant now. Everyone is addicted to their phones, and everyone uses their phone as a form of escapism and coping. It's this completely addicting form of coping. And you'll see people, observe people, especially if there's like a triggering situation, emotionally charged situation, they'll reach for their phone as quickly as they can, because it is it's a way to distract yourself and get out of what you're feeling. So we need to focus on being cognizant of just the concept of coping. And, we're practicing the skills of being the observer of ourselves and developing self-awareness. And when you incorporate these skills and you're practicing them and you're just aware of them, you're able to now become aware of this concept of coping. And you can observe what you're doing, and you can think back on what you've done to cope with your traumas that are affecting you. So once you begin to understand the concept of bad coping and good coping, you can then make the conscious decision to choose to either, you're either going to cope in a negative way or a positive way. And until you're ready, that's another thing with this, is you have to be ready to face this. But let's say that you're ready and you want to take on, some forms of good coping. So the coping initially started with the sense of self-awareness and being able to observe yourself. And so coping is understanding, and it's your ability to feel and observe and really get to the truth, and get to the truth of what you're feeling, the negative thoughts in your head, and what that experience is. And as you're developing that sense of understanding, it's only going to help you get a clearer idea of what is affecting you. So understanding and the truth is a form of coping. It helps our mind and our psyche. But there's a bunch of other stuff. And a big one that I do a lot, it's just moving your body. It's exercise. It's like a lot of that trauma gets stored in your body and just like in your muscles, and it takes on a form of it's just like energy that's capped that needs to be released. And a great way to do that is just start moving your body, like as much as you can. And especially if you can get into exercise situations where you're really doing a lot of hard cardio and you're really exhausting yourself, it's a great release. Because I know that I think there's a book. It's like emotional memory, or the body knows. It's like this concept of trauma being stored physically inside of you. Huge part of coping is moving your body. And if you can't get into a big exercise routine, that's okay. Just walk. Just start moving your body. If you're sedentary, you're stationary, you're not moving your energy. The whole thing is just moving energy. That's a great form of coping. Another great form of coping, and these are all good, now we're talking about good coping, is art. Anything creative. Anything that you are just channeling and thinking up and making and creating. Creativity has saved my life. And if you're a musician, great. If you're a painter, a sculptor, if you write, if you're into poetry, if you're into singing, whatever it is, make art and creativity just like a big part of your life. We are all creative beings. If you have a hard time finding, what your creative path is, just start trying a bunch of stuff. And who cares? This isn't for everyone else. This is for you. This is therapy. This is you coping in a healthy way. And if you are selfish and diligent about making yourself the best you can be, you're going to try whatever you can. So go after anything creative, whatever that may be. Dancing, I don't know. What I like to do is music is a big one. I've played music for 25 years. I'm always playing music. I'm always writing songs. I'm singing. I'm, doing all that. I like to paint. I like to draw. I like to do woodworking. I like to build things. The sky's the limit. This positive coping, a huge part of it is being creative and having that outlet. And you can put so much focused attention and energy and emotion into an object. You can instill emotion into an object. And there's really cool things that you can do, like writing letters to people that you hate and then burning that letter. And that's a huge release. You just put this whole, energetic release into this object and you burned it. Now it's gone. And it's this ceremonial aspect of releasing. So, other forms of positive coping. Food, eating, it's a huge one. The food you eat will definitely dictate how you feel, in your mind, your body, and your spirit. So I will drill this in. Stop eating garbage. Start eating good food. It's really easy. Just stick to whole forms of food. Don't stray too far from that and just stay away from fast food. Try to eat as much natural and organic food as you can. The big things that I've stayed away from that have really helped me recently is toxic seed oils. Check that out. I'll add a book in the description. And sugar. I've stopped eating sugar and toxic seed oils, and that's really helped me. But I eat meat and bread and cheese. Bread and cheese are slightly processed, but you can find high quality forms of those. So just consider that. Fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, meat, the whole thing. Just look for high quality. It's worth the investment. It is a form of coping. Once you start putting good, healthy, clean food into your body, your thoughts change. And if you eat a lot of garbage, you're going to have garbage thoughts. So just think about that, because you want to be just selfish in the sense of you want yourself to be as good as you can possibly be. So diet's going to be a great form of coping. The other thing is that really helped me is analyze the people in your life. Because when you're sober and you're feeling everything and you're not running away from your feelings, you can really feel the people in your life and how they treat you. And I cut these people out, man. If they were not helping me and positive and supportive in my journey of sobriety and life improvement, I just cut them out. And I cut them off and I walked away. It's okay to ditch these people because you are leveling up your vibe. And the thing is when you have a low vibe and you're surrounded by all these low vibe people, it's just everyone's bringing each other down. I was surrounded, the crew of people I was with right before I, got sober and started to improve, it was all drunks and miserable people. And, that's who I was. I just attracted the same thing. So when you start leveling up, these people are going to get mad because they're going to feel threatened by you. And this is exactly what happened to me. And you know what? The best way to get rid of these people is, I call it the fade out. You just slowly fade out of their orbit. If you cut them off all of a sudden, it's going to be a big dramatic situation. You just want to avoid that. Just slowly fade away from these people, and soon you won't have to interact with them. And that's what worked for me. As you're leveling up and you're being healthy, you're doing all these good things, you're going to start attracting people of that higher vibration. So definitely analyze all the people in your life, because healthy coping and being able to reason with somebody and talk with people is huge, because they can give you great insight into what you're feeling, and they can act as another form of observation, because you might be in an emotional state and acting crazy, and they can key you into that. So it's important to be able to find good people and be able to share with them, and then ultimately have them help you, and you can help them too. Like my wife is that for me, and I found her when I was in an elevated state. I wasn't down in that muck. If I was down in that muck, I never would have met her. But since I was processing everything, moving, and I was growing as a person, and I was selfishly focused on myself, that's when our paths crossed. So there are good people out there, and she helps me tremendously with coping, because I'm still very emotional and stuff comes up all the time. So those are some of the main things that I like to do as far as maintaining sobriety and just maintaining a sense of just being grounded. Nature, obviously, that's kind of the big one. That will help you cope, just getting out into nature and just continuing these skills and this practice, because now you're taking on this completely different lifestyle. And for me, for years, my lifestyle was just destruction. It was just destroying my life, just a little bit at a time. And since I chose to face all this and try something else, now my life has taken on, I'm just building my life. I'm building relationships, my family, myself, and it's completely different. So it becomes a lifestyle, and there's all these skills and tools and tricks and tips that you get and you learn, and you just carry all these with you. And, every day you're slightly better and stronger and more prepared for what's going to come your way. And that's how I feel. And, it's easy to get bombarded and feel like you're overwhelmed. But the more you are conscious and aware and practicing these skills, it gets easier. And I can guarantee you that. And this just becomes a life pursuit. And before you know it, you're able to, have deep insight about all these emotions and feelings. Because, like I said, all of these emotions are more powerful than what we're led to believe. And you can easily be in an emotive state and have an amazing idea, just like the Bill Wilson guy did from AA. It's completely possible. So anyway, keep up the sobriety and just the concept of coping, and read about it. There's a ton of information about coping, healthy coping, that you can look into. I just wanted to share what I do. Anyway, I appreciate your time, and have a good rest of your day.